Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is my very first live. Thank you so much for being here. Lots going on today to discuss. I thought I would just come on here and honestly have kind of an open conversation with you all. I've got the chat right here. We're definitely going to give a couple minutes for everyone to join because we didn't even give any notice, right? I'm sure I'm not the only one who woke up this morning and over the last couple hours has been following what's been going on. Lots to talk about today. So thank you all for being here and do not be shy in the chat. Okay, wow, there we go. Wonderful. Just a pullback, just a pullback, just a pullback. Yes, we're definitely going to get into what happened with gold today. If you ask me, tons of paper, right? They're trying to slam what's going down, but they're not going to succeed because the forces at play are much larger than any paper market manipulation. And that's what we're going to look at today is zooming out and focusing on the big picture. I know there's, oh, louder, please. Okay. Louder. Mic is quiet. We'll turn that up. Thank you guys again. Like I said, this is my first time going live on the channel. So anything that you see, please, please let me know. Manipulation as always. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Joka Q8Y, manipulation as always. Already going back up. It absolutely is. Sorry for the pullback, everyone. I had to buy a couple mansions on the beach. Yeah, there we go. Happy to be here. I'm happy to be here too. Thank you guys so much. While again, we're kind of just giving everyone a moment to join, go ahead and throw in where you're joining from. I know that everyone from the ITM audience is wide and far ranging, so I love to try and see where everyone's joining us from today. Arizona. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Audio is dark. Okay, make sure, are we good on audio? Okay, perfect. Get a better mic. Oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know. Normally this is fine when we're recording, so we'll see if we can get it a little bit higher. Okay. Mass manipulation across the board. Absolutely. That's what I think as well. Now, today, Connecticut, Canada. I was just in Canada actually last week for the VRIC conference. I don't know if any of you out there watching were there as well. Mexico, Scottsdale, Arizona. Brian, welcome. I'm coming to you live from Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm in the studio today with my wonderful producer and editor, Edgar. He's off screen, but he's right here next to me. Okay, wonderful. Mike is fine. Okay, cool. Thank you guys again for letting us know. We're back on. Okay, wonderful. Buffalo, Scotland, Canada. Terrific. Pipe down, you critics. No, I appreciate it. Let me know. Okay, so there's a lot going on, but this past week, like I mentioned, I was at the VRIC conference in Vancouver, and I was there with some incredible people from our space, right? People who have been in precious metals and macroeconomics for a long time. And I would say that the biggest theme of the show was that trust is collapsing, right? We are quite literally living through a once-in-a-lifetime, multi-generational monetary reset. And I talk about this a lot, but I still think there's so much focus on these day-to-day price movements. And what we really need to do is zoom out and look at the big picture, right? And again, thank you guys all so much. Wow, I see Paris, Germany, Michigan, Switzerland, so much. The US either has a lot of gold or none. Yeah, that's right. If you ask me, I don't know, unless I was there personally auditing the reserves, I wouldn't probably trust what they're telling us. But as far as what's going on with the golden dollar, a lot to get into here. If you've been following the last couple of days, yeah, they're trying to crush those long positions. If you've been following the last couple of days, the dollar has been, of course, dropping. If we look at the Dixie, right, it's been going down. And I think I'm going to go ahead and pull up some different charts. But a weak dollar is not the worst thing for the U.S., according to President Trump. And it all comes back to our debt. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of dive in here to some of the things that I'm watching and these kind of like, again, big picture macroeconomic things that are happening here with the U.S. debt. So it's no secret that we have a debt crisis, right? But what's happening right now is primarily coming back to the U.S. Treasury market. And this is what I am watching. So if we are to look at U.S. Treasuries, actually, let's go ahead and go to Fred. When I talk about yields, I'm talking about the interest rate on our debt, right? What we have to offer to people in order for them to buy our debt. And demand for our debt right now is declining, more and more nations internationally are not interested, right? Our foreign buyers are not interested in our debt. If we look at the yields today, they're hovering around 5%. Now, when we have $38.5 trillion in debt at 5%, this is a problem. And we're going to talk about the debt wall we're going to run into this year too. Japan carry trade blowing up. I see someone just put that in there. Don't worry, we're going to talk about Japan as well. But 5%, you could look at this chart here and say, hey, yields have been at 5% before on U.S. debt. This isn't the first time, and you'd be correct. If we go back here to 2007, right, we can see, okay, yields on our debt were around 5%. But something significant has changed since 2007. Does anyone know what that is? Go ahead and throw it in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and also pull this up here. Our U.S. debt. Oh, thank you guys all again for the kind comments while we're going through here. Wonderful. Yeah. So if we look back here in 2007, when the last time that yields were hovering around 5% consistently, what do we have? U.S. debt was close to $8.5 trillion. Well, today, right, we're at $38.5 trillion. So you have a significantly higher debt burden with the same yields applied. And before someone out there says, okay, wait, what about, yes, you guys are right there, debt in the trillions, gold reset. Well, before someone says, okay, wait, but yields aren't just a one-stop shop, right? It's true. But this year in particular, we have a massive debt burden that needs to be refinanced. So if we look at, let's see, U.S. debt refinancing, I think I saw this, pull this up. Let me see. I just saw a really good article on this, actually. Hello. Give me 1 second. Let's see if we can see it. No, I can't find the exact one right now, but long story short, we are going to have roughly $10 trillion of debt that needs to be refinanced this year. That means that debt has to be refinanced at higher rates. Higher rates means that we need to pay more. Pay more means we need to spend more, which means we need to borrow more, right? At a time when there are less borrowers. This is a debt doom loop, and this is what we're stuck in, right? And honestly, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of you guys saying in here, yeah, dollar reset, dollar reset. It's something to look at when people discuss, oh, I thought you were talking about the chart. But ultimately, when we talk about gold prices rising, right, any kind of paper market slam that might be going on, at the end of the day, you cannot stop what's happening right now, which is a monetary reset. And people ask me all the time, well, is that an event or a process? And the short answer is it's both. It's a process we're living through right now that ultimately ends in an event. That event would be an official currency devaluation or revaluation. We've seen it happen in Venezuela multiple times, in Venezuela, in Mexico, in Lebanon, Weimar Germany, right? They call it lopping off zeros, where essentially they just chop off multiple zeros as they go. Debt spiral. Yes, yes. Gold is king, always will be. Yep. Absolutely. And here's the thing too, is that a lot of people don't understand too, that people ask me this weekend, I had so many people ask me, is it too late to buy gold? And the answer is absolutely not. In fact, let's see, I saw this today too. U.S. Treasuries. Let me think. I think it was on X. I don't know if you guys saw this as well. U.S. Treasuries. And go ahead and ask questions too as I go through this. Anything you guys see. Let's see. Gold overtaking treasuries and central bank foreign exchange reserves, right? I mean, this is massive, you guys. The dollar is the global reserve currency. The dollar and the U.S. Treasury market itself, right? This is supposed to be the foundation of the global monetary system. And what do we have now? We have gold overtaking treasuries. This is huge. And there's no signs of this slowing down, too. If you look, the World Gold Council did a survey, actually, that showed where central bank reserves were going to be in the next 5 years. 73% of them said they're going to have less USD, while 76% said they're going to have more gold, right? So absolutely, yeah, please send in your questions as I go through. They're not only Yeah, they're not just stopping buying the debt, they're selling it. I see Paul just sent that in. That is absolutely true. And I know many of you too talked about Japan. I saw some Japan comments in here come through. What's going on with Japan is really scary, you guys. Let's look at the Japan 30-year yields. This is nuts, actually, if you really think about this. So for a long, long time, Japan, basically what they did is they were able to keep their yields wildly low. And again, yields being the interest on their debt, right? But over the last couple of years, you can see their yields have been going up significantly. Right now, hovering at about 3.6%. Now, the reason that people are so concerned about this is because at the end of the day, as these yields get higher and higher, it means that there's going to be less capital that Japan's exporting to the rest of the world. Right now, Japan is the world's largest creditor. If you look at U.S., let's see, U.S. foreign reserve holders of debt. Let's see if we can pull this up. The biggest buyers of U.S. debt, right? Number one, right here, Japan. Number one. So at a time when the United States is already struggling because we don't have enough buyers of our debt, now you have Japan, our biggest buyer of debt, who's going to be taking a step back. Let's see. Can you see gold reaching up? When will the currency reset happen? Who is shorting gold? Okay, these are all good questions. When will the currency reset happen? I mentioned this just a minute ago, but again, it's one of the biggest questions I get. We are living through a currency reset right now. So again, it is both a process and an event. If you look at the signs of resets throughout history, we already have increasing debt, right? Wild, out of control debt. We have a collapse of confidence that is happening. We have inflation. Of course, they're telling us, oh, inflation's under control, inflation's stable. Give me a break, right? We both know that that's not the case. And the moves that they are making to gear up, inflation is the end game. Because what happens with inflation? The real value of the debt is actually lower at a time when we have such a massive debt burden, right? That's what's happening here. Okay, I'm seeing some questions. Whole world needs a reset. And that is true too. It's not just the dollar. Yes, we focus on the dollar a lot. Of course, I'm in the United States, and it's primarily because the dollar is the global reserve currency. But all fiat currencies, there's that quote I love, 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 that's all fiat currencies eventually return to its intrinsic value. Zero, right? And we are having a debt crisis around the world right now. Fourth turning is coming. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of scary, right? I know a lot of people are vindicated because they're looking at the price of gold, they're looking at the price of silver go up, and they're saying, wow, we've known this was coming for a long time, you know? And there are celebrations as far as what that means, but kind of reminds me of the movie The Big Short, where they said, you know, just don't dance. Whatever you do, just don't dance. Because the truth is, things are going to get a lot worse for a lot of people out there. Let's see, as far as how long does the reset last? Again, it depends. But one thing I will caution everyone of is that they move quickly, right? They start out slow, things continue to chip away, and over time they accelerate. We're in that acceleration phase right now. But you never know. A lot of people try and time it. And my advice to everyone is don't try and time it, right? Don't try and time this. If you know this is what's coming, don't try and time it. Make sure you're protected now with your insurance policy. Because a lot of people kick themselves later and think, I wish I had when I had the chance. And I just talked with our president, Eric, about this a lot yesterday. It's getting harder and harder for people. It's going to be harder to transition from the fiat currency into gold, right, as these prices continue to go up. Okay, let's see. What else is everyone saying? Good point. Keep the celebration in check. Yes, I'm not trying to be a buzzkill on this. Again, everyone out there who feels vindicated, you have a right to. But the truth is, again, there's going to be a lot of pain coming. Are you guys still buying at these prices? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Gold is rebounding nicely at this moment. It's true, right? It got knocked down. I mean, who knows how much paper they flooded the market with? What, $300 it dropped? I think right before I went on this live, it already gone up another $150. So 50% back. And again, I try not to worry too much about the daily price. You'll notice if you've actually watched my videos, I don't talk about price a ton. And it's because if you understand these concepts, you don't need to worry about it so much day to day. Let's see. Get busy inflating or get busy defaulting. Yeah, that's a good quote. I haven't heard that one before. Berlin, welcome from Berlin. Okay, perfect. Any other questions? Let me see if I missed some in here. Perfect. Let's see. End of a fake currency. Yeah. Gold to silver ratio prediction. I try not to focus too much on the gold to silver ratio. Personally, for me, as far as I go, you know, I'm stacking. I know that gold and silver for me, they both have different functionalities. That's what I come back to. So if you have specific questions about how much gold, how much silver, your strategy for a currency reset, you can always call us. We'll put up the number below. You can talk to one of our expert analysts. But let's see, when are you going to start to sell? I mean, listen, for me, I'm not even close to sell. Do not, okay, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself because I just shared this story. It will be on this weekend's Gold Rush Hour. But I actually have a family member, a close family member, who called me in December and said they wanted to sell. And I said, why are you selling your gold, right? And they told me, well, I'm selling my gold because I'm trying to pay off a mortgage. I didn't want to fault them for that, but I said, do not sell your gold, right? Why did you buy your gold in the first place? Well, I bought it to protect my wealth from this reset, from inflation, from everything else. And I said, do you think they're going to stop printing? Do you think that suddenly trust in fiat currencies is going to come back globally, right? No, what you bought it for has not happened yet. Now is the time to hold. And of course, he sold. And guess what happened now in the last 2 months? It's going to be much harder for him to get back to the amount of ounces he had before, to get back to what he had before to protect his wealth, because the price has gone up so much. And, you know, that's kind of the truth of what's going on. Yeah, I will only sell if and when I need the fiat for living purposes. Buy physical. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. That's absolutely right. Don't sell unless you need to. Yes. Real estate isn't a bad investment. No, it's not, but it is interesting. If you have questions about how different assets perform during currency resets, this is a really important distinction. Because if you study currency resets throughout history, you can see certain patterns emerge, right? If you're looking at bonds, we know bonds are going to be worthless, right? Because again, trust completely collapses. But real estate's an interesting one because while it is real, right, ultimately, it might actually be more difficult for you. You might not be as liquid on the other side because potentially if you live through a currency reset, the value of that real estate, it might come back eventually, but it could take a long time. It might be difficult to sell. It's people who have held their gold through the resets who come out the other side and are able to purchase whatever real estate they want. Okay, let's see. What other questions do we have here? Oh, yeah. Let me pull this up. Okay, perfect. Good idea to sell silver and gold moving in real estate. No, again, like I was just saying, I mean, I personally, my strategy is making sure that I hold my gold to the other side of the reset, because then if you want to buy real estate on that side, your gold typically reprices violently against the fiat currency. And again, you're going to be in a buyer's market at that point. So that would be my strategy. Of course, make sure you have a roof over your head. But if you're trying to figure out investments, and again, if you want to get more into this, you can always call us and talk to one of our expert analysts. Do you think the government will confiscate gold and silver? I mean, it's absolutely a possibility. Anyone out there who says, oh, that will never happen, what's the first thing I say to them? It already has, right? It already has. In 1933, right? Gold confiscation, confiscated gold bullion, right? And I know a lot of people are worried about it with silver too. And at the end of the day, that's why it's so important to understand the different types of gold and silver out there, to understand gold and silver laws, making sure you're working with someone who understands those clearly. Because there are a lot of people out there who just say, okay, I know I need gold, I need silver, whatever it is, and they rush into it without, again, working with someone who really understands history and how history could repeat again, right? Or rhyme, whatever the saying is. Okay. If it's not in your hand, it's in their hand. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Today, like we were looking at with that gold price, you know, with all the paper market manipulation that's happening. At the end of the day, this is real. This is tangible, right? I hold it. It's in my hand. Anything else, you're carrying counterparty risk. Not enough people really think through what counterparty risk means for you. You know, if you ultimately are trusting your physical gold somewhere else, is it really yours, right? If you can't see it, if you can't hold it, if it can be frozen, if it can be seized, You have to trust the middlemen, the custodian, like anyone else who's involved in this, the banks. At the end of the day, it's interesting. A lot of people I know who invest in gold, right? And they say, oh, well, I know my gold, it's allocated somewhere, yada, yada. It's just interesting to me because it's like, where is it being stored? Is it being stored at the same bank that you don't trust, that you're trying to protect yourself from? Or is it in the fiat system that you're concerned about? Because a lot of times you can't get redemption, right? In real physical, I just made a video on this actually, because it's a question I get asked a lot. Let's see. When are they going to Fort Knox audit? I don't know, you guys. I don't know if my life is long enough to live to see a Fort Knox audit. And like I've said before, unless I'm the one actually auditing, I don't know if I would trust it personally, right? They can tell me all day whatever they want, but I don't know if I'd believe it. Let's see. Gold, silver, copper. Do you get to take the gold props home with you? That's hilarious. So I do have my own gold, obviously. These are not props. This is very real. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. These are absolutely 100% real. I'm not holding anything fake in these videos. That being said, for safety purposes, of course, I'm not going to say that I have my gold personally. I have to store it elsewhere for safety purposes because I am here on the public. But that's funny. Never end the Fed. Private corporation. Yeah, you guys, the Fed, that's another one we could talk about, what's been going on with the Fed the last couple of days. Oh my God, yeah, I'm seeing a couple Fed comments on here. Okay, so obviously Jerome Powell, for those of you who missed it, he came out yesterday and said that he's not really concerned about precious metals. He's not concerned about what's going on with gold and silver. And it's really interesting for me because so many people out there just don't understand what's really happening with the Fed. To be honest, they are absolutely involved in one of the largest wealth transfers in history. We talk about wealth transfers because wealth doesn't disappear, it's merely transferred. In fact, if we look at the wealth gap on the Federal Reserve Board's website, if we come here and look at this, distribution of household wealth since 1989. This is a chart I'm always interested in. You can see here the top, not even 1%. This is the top 0.1% up here at the top, the dark green. Top 0.1%. How much their wealth has grown, wealth by percentile group. Then the top 1% is this next chunk right here, right? And guess what we have down here? You can't even see it. I'm going to zoom in on this. Let's see if I can get this better for you guys here. Okay, you can barely even see, but down here at the bottom, this yellow line, this down here is the bottom 50% of Americans. The bottom 50% of Americans, that's that yellow line, right? That's barely moving at all in all of these years, barely moving at all. But what do we have? Then 50 to 90% growth, 90 to 99% more growth. And then you see it just less people, more growth, right? The growth to person ratio. What is that? It's because we're living through wealth transfer. If you already have the assets, if you're already protected, if you're already invested, right, then you're going to see more wealth. But as they continue to inflate away our purchasing power, the bottom 50%, they're not seeing any increase in their wealth. No, that's what's happening. They're taking from the many to the few. And we have seen this again and again throughout history. Every time. Let's see. There we are. Okay. Buy more gold and silver. Michelle says, love you, Taylor. Saw you at BRAC. Thank you, Michelle. Wonderful. Yeah, wealth can disappear if the assets go poof. That is a good call out right there, Scott, because it's true, right? Unless, again, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. That's the truth. So let's see, what else do we have? After the revaluation of gold, do you think America will lose its status as the world's superpower? I mean, listen, right now, again, like I said, trust is already breaking down. In fact, let me see, you guys. This was interesting. At BRAC, I was on a panel. I'll pull this over here. I was on a panel with a group of people who don't always actually agree. And I feel like this is something BRAC does well, is they pull up different opinions. So you can see myself, Dr. Nomi Prinz, Daryl, Andy Scheckman, Mark Moss, and Brett Johnson here. And on this panel, it was funny because, of course, Mark Moss, who's a dear friend of mine, but he is big into Bitcoin. That's his answer, right? And then Brent Johnson is talking about how he doesn't think the dollar is actually going to collapse, whereas Nomi and Andy and I were far more aligned on what's happening next. But there was one thing we all could agree on. And it's that the dollar is not going to be a dominant superpower moving forward. I actually used an analogy at VRIC that I feel like some people told me afterwards really resonated with them. And it's the idea of cable when we're thinking about the dollar. Cable used to be the dominant force, right? Everyone's TV had cable on it. You never thought that it was going to go away. And if something else came along, an alternative, you never thought it would overtake it. But then what happened? Well, cable became too expensive, less flexible. New technology was created. And what happened? Well, suddenly you now have streaming. And streaming didn't overnight replace cable, but it very quickly, one by one, grew until it became the dominant force. Now, cable today still exists. It's not that it's gone completely, but the percentage share it makes up is far less than what it was. So that's what we're going to see, as far as what's going to happen with the dollar. It will no longer be the dominant superpower, right? That train has already left the station, especially as we see, again, gold overtaking central bank foreign reserves of treasury holdings. This is going to continue to happen. And like I said, we're going to be in that debt doom loop. What's going on with treasuries? Yeah, this is what's going on with treasuries. There's less and less demand for them. Now we're going to see Japan pull back. It's not good. It's not good for the U.S. All right, let's see what other questions do we have here. Already lost its status. Thoughts on reset? Perfect. Fed is not concerned about the dollar index crashing. Correct. Sounds like enslavement. Yeah. We've left the world no choice. ENMC 6063. That is absolutely right. It's reached a point where you cannot go to someone and say, okay, here's some assets that are supposed to be neutral and safe, yet we can weaponize them, we can freeze them, we can seize them. Oh, and we forgot to mention, they live inside our box that we control, our system, right, that we control. All the payments have to go through us, everything is cleared through us, but don't worry about it, they're still neutral and safe. Would you feel safe with those as your assets? Absolutely not. Think whatever you want about central banks and governments, you're in good company, but at the end of the day, right, they're not complete idiots. They're not going to want to be fooled once, fooled again. That's the truth. Yeah, someone says, I do not own enough gold. I got kind of emotional. I was sharing this with Eric yesterday too. At VRAC, if you were there at my keynote, at the end of my speech, I looked out into the crowd and I said, none of us have enough gold for what's coming next. And it is kind of scary for me because I personally have a lot of loved ones who don't understand these concepts, or, maybe sometimes we get a bad rep that it's too doom and gloom, it's too dark, that it's scary. And the way I look at it is that for me, this is hope, right? Yes, we deal in a lot of heavy topics, but there is an answer. History shows us the answer. The moves that are happening today from central banks show us the answer. So that's what gives me hope. And that's why I don't get too downtrodden when I'm doing all of this, is that not only do I feel like I know how to protect myself, but hopefully I'm helping others protect themselves as well too. Watching from India, following for a few months. Thank you, Chef Tech. Appreciate that. Wonderful. Your dollars are safe as long as you don't make us angry. That's exactly it. No one else in the world wants to be under the fear that if they make Uncle Sam mad, that suddenly their reserves, their safe assets are going to be frozen or seized. Yep. Okay, let's see what else. Your speech at VRAC, very impactful. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that. I'm seeing a lot of questions again about specifically how much gold to own or how much gold to silver to own. Again, if you have specific questions about that, I highly, highly recommend you talk to one of our expert analysts. Let me see. I actually have, for anyone out there watching, a QR code I'll go ahead and pull up. We can put that up there, Edgar. Yeah, I'll leave this on the screen for a second. If you want to scan this, or down below in the description, if you don't want to scan the QR, you can set up a time to talk to one of our expert analysts. I work with them every single day. They're right here now in the office. They are an incredible team. ITM's been here for 30 years. Many of them have been here for decades as well. Very, very knowledgeable. I've learned so much from all of them. So if you have specific questions like some of these I'm seeing in the comments, go ahead and set up a time to talk to our analyst or call us at the number below. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Sister eye rolls me when I try and nudge her into investing in silver. She only invested in paper and dismisses me as a Looney Tune. David, you're not alone. You're not a Looney Tune. You're not crazy at all, because ultimately that is a common thing, right? And I think one of the reasons why I'm talking about VRAC so much is being in a room with so many like-minded people who all are coming together and saying, hey, we've been watching all of this. We've been connecting all these dots. And we know that this isn't right. We know our dollars are worth less, right? We know that we need to have something to protect our wealth with, right? Whatever that might be, we know what's coming next. And you're not alone in that. We do our best to try and educate those we love. But I would say don't give up the good fight. Like sometimes I see people in the comments or on X saying, oh, I gave up or I stopped. I understand, because it can be frustrating. It can be hard. But for me personally, I think you never know. Like I've had people where you plant that seed and it's not maybe until a year later or months later or days later or whatever it is, they come to you and they start asking questions and they go, you know, something you said stuck with me, or something happened and it made me think of that thing you said, right? So let's see, what else? Could this be? Thank you for responding, David. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, Taylor Penny. Tiger SDFW. Oh, Taylor Penny. That always makes me laugh. I don't know. My name is Taylor Kenny, but I see a lot of comments calling me Taylor Penny. I don't know if that's just like a play on words or a pun that you guys came up with because the word penny, or is that just a misunderstanding? I actually would love to know the answer if anyone could let me know who calls me Taylor Penny, because it is kind of funny. I'm like, should I have changed my name for this on here? Taylor, you and Danielle are the best. Keep up the good work, both of you. Thank you so much. Actually, let me see. I think I have a fun, yeah, here, I'll pull this over. You can see this. Yep. That was Daniela and I at VRAC this past weekend together. Obviously, Daniela is based out of New York. I'm here in Arizona. So it's always great to get an opportunity to be together. I think I posted this on us with like Team ITM on there, because it is really special when you get to be together in person. Perfect. Yeah. Ha, I still own AMC. I know about hopium. Yeah. What's the saying? Hopium isn't a strategy. Peter, you don't look old enough to be with ITM for 30 years. Taylor, you're right. I personally have not been with ITM for 30 years, but ITM, we did just celebrate our 30-year anniversary. It is a family company. Craig Griffin, the founder, was at the party, and it's his son, Eric, who's our president, who you might recognize from Gold Rush Hour. He is a wonderful president, and it's a family business. And I think that's why ITM has been so trusted and been around for so long. And like I mentioned, so many of the analysts here have been here for so long too, is because of that. Let's see. Any other questions here? I'm trying to see. Because you pick up pennies. Okay. Probably do the AI captioning sometimes, not getting the P in right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's funny. I do pick up pennies. Someone there is referring to my penny video that I made. I don't know if many of you have seen it because it didn't get a ton of views, but it was actually very near and dear to my heart when they ended the penny or the cent here in the United States. You know, I've been a big fan. It was very sentimental for me. Maybe I'll post that video on X again. And the Fed, yes, great. Perfect. How do I get started in learning more? I mean, listen, everything we do here, right, is in service of education. Like I mentioned, it's in helping educate. Because if you don't understand what's happening, I mean, listen, anyone can go out there today and buy gold and silver. And of course, I do believe, make sure you're protected, make sure you have your physical. But that being said, if you don't understand what's happening today, how can you really prepare for tomorrow? And that's really core to everything we do. If you want to learn more, again, outside of calling us or talking to one of our expert analysts, I think this question was more about books and videos. You can watch all of our videos, other people in the space I love. Mineko64, I always learn a ton from him. Mario, he's a terrific guy. And then books. I've been reading a lot of books, you guys. My stack of to read is growing higher and higher. I can't quite read them fast enough. The recommendations keep flowing in, but lots of good books out there, so maybe I'll make a list. Okay. Let's see. Did you used to sell freeze-dried food in commercials? Yes, actually, that would be me. You might not know that I started in this space through emergency preparedness. So that is something that I was that I was doing before I joined ITM, and of course was passionate about gold and silver during that as well too. All right, let's see what else. Blows my mind the masses are totally oblivious to what's going on. This is very true. I saw a couple people talk about retail. Listen, at the end of the day, you guys, Mario and Rudy. I love Rudy. That's Mario's dog for those of you who watch him. No one really knows what's going on as far as the masses, right? Like if you think that Joe Schmo out there on the street right now is racing to go buy gold and silver, I can't tell you how, it's just not what's happening. I talk to my friends, my family. I was just saying the other day, I should actually go out on the street and go up to people and ask, you know, this or that. There's that famous video of like, I forget his name. He did the bar of silver or, you know, a bar of chocolate, and everyone chose the bar of chocolate, right? I really don't think sentiment for the average Joe has changed that much. A lot of people are still unaware. Someone at BRAC said when your cab driver turns around to you and is like, oh, do you have your gold and silver? You know, that's when you know things have gotten really bad. We're nowhere near that yet. Nowhere near that. Okay, perfect. Thank you for the stream. Thank you guys, everyone out there for joining. This is awesome. Like I said, this is my very first time going live on here. I'm a bit of a yapper, if you can't tell. I could talk all day. But that being said, you know, it's kind of fun to just come on here with no strategy and just yap with you all a little bit and see what you were thinking, what you were wondering. Let's see. Most people don't have a clue or don't believe. That's exactly right, Curtis. Exactly right. Okay. Too late now. No, Canadian mom. It is definitely not too late. Not if you understand what's coming next, right? Fundamental value of gold is far higher. If we look at the debt, absolutely not. Okay. Young investor, should I go towards silver or gold? Small budget for a college student. Potato Man 3362. That's a great question. You know, I think, again, they serve different functions. So do I believe both gold and silver are undervalued? Yes. Do I believe they're both going to go up in price? Yes. But the question I always ask everyone is, why are you buying it in the first place? Because the why is going to determine what you should be buying and how much of it. And ultimately for me, right, gold is going to be what protects my wealth from this currency reset on the other side. Silver is going to be more of my daily driver, right? This is what I'm going to use day to day. That's what currency resets throughout history show us. Let's see. Taylor, I have pre-82 all copper pennies. I'll trade you for some silver, lol. Good one. Good one. Yes is a great answer. Okay, wonderful. Well, you guys, I think that seems to be the majority of questions for today. So I'm going to go ahead and put this QR back up here because, again, I'm seeing more questions coming in that seem to be specifically about personal situations. If you do have questions, it's a personal situation about how to protect your wealth, or you want to learn more, or maybe you already have gold and silver, but you want a second opinion. Again, you can call us for a free strategy call. That is what we do here. We specialize in education and helping people prepare for what's coming next. If you have any other questions, you know, throw them in, and I'm sure I will do another one of these lives. If you guys want it, give me a thumbs up if you like the live. If you want to do another one, I am loving the end the Fed. Yes. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Arizona as well, JVZ, wonderful. I appreciate it all. Stay safe out there, you guys. Have a great weekend if I don't see you before that. And thank you again so much.